Hey, it's Mr. Spencer here. We're talking about the American Dream. You have a bell ringer for today, and we're going to read two poems. Do you believe in the American Dream? Tell us what you think in that bell ringer. If you open it up, you can type down below. All right, now for the poems, you have 10 questions to answer. The first poem is called America by Claude McKay, and the second poem is called The Tradition by Jericho Brown. I'm going to read the poem and go over a few notes, all right? First poem, it's from 1921. Although she feeds me bread of bitterness and sinks into my throat her tiger's tooth, stealing my breath of life, I will confess, I love this cultured hell that tests my youth. Her vigor flows like tides into my blood, giving me strength erect against her hate. Her bigness sweeps my being like a flood, yet as a rebel fronts a king in state, I stand within her walls with not a shred of terror, malice, not a word of jeer. Darkly I gaze into the days ahead and see her might and granite wonders there. Beneath the touch of time's unerring hand, like priceless treasures sinking in the sand. That was Claude McKay's America. Okay, first question asks you about the title. What do you think of the title? It seems epic and dramatic. The title of the poem is just America. Maybe the poet wants to define all of America at once. What does it promise? Just put some thoughts out there. Consider the sound and the rhythm of America. Is there a pattern to the rhythm? Does the poet use rhyme? What effect does the rhyme or lack of rhyme have? Well, notice the end of each line, bitterness. Second line, tooth. Does that rhyme? No. What about the third line, confess? Does that rhyme with bitterness? Yes. Ness, tooth. Confess, youth. Blood, hate. Flood, state. Shred, jeer. Ahead, there. Hand, sand. Yes. So I do agree that it's also kind of epic and dramatic. There is a dramatic, what would we say this? Every other line. So we'll say rhyme pattern or rhyme scheme that varies every other line. It is also 14 lines long, which is similar to a traditional sonnet. Okay, if you look up a sonnet, that's a type of poem that William Shakespeare popularized that always had 14 lines. The rhyming makes it predictable and more like a easy to follow story. I think that makes sense. All poems usually feature a shift or a turn of some sort. Where does the poem turn, change directions, feature an increase of intensity? Okay, it says note the specific line number. We got line 5, we got line 10, and it goes to line 14. I think punctuation's a good hint. So when we see the period there and then we've got the conjunction yet, that's actually going to be a great example. So what is that? 6, 7, 8. Line 8, we start to see a shift. The conjunction yet, I think, does change directions. And then so what? What does the poem do? What's the purpose, especially as it relates to the American dream? How would you summarize the message of the poem in your own words here? So that's kind of up to you what you want to say about the poem, but what is the point? Okay, I see positive and negative language, okay? I'm going to see a lot of negative language first, so see if I can identify this here. Although she feeds me bread of bitterness. All right, I want to see negative words I'll use in red. Bitterness, that's red. So I'm trying to use red? Yeah, red. Okay, bitterness. A tiger, when its teeth are involved, I'm thinking that's negative. Stealing is negative. Sinking is negative. Hell, definitely negative, right? Blood could be violence with the hell and the tiger's tooth biting into me. A flood sounds kind of negative. A rebel, I'm not so sure about that one. Terror, yes. Malice is like evil. A word of jeer is the opposite of cheering. It's darkly And then the treasures are sinking again into the sand. So I also see some positive imagery here. Is the American dream positive or negative? I'm thinking that the way rebels used could be a positive idea. Rebels don't have to be bad. Feeding seems pretty good. Breath of life sounds good. Hell was bad, but a cultured hell doesn't sound so bad. And youth is definitely great. Everybody loves being young. Vigor means strength. And there's the word strength again, also positive. Hate was definitely negative there. A king, I'm not so sure about. Might is like strength. Granite sounds strong. Priceless treasure sounds good. So I'm using the blue for the positive language. And I've got the red was definitely negative language, like hate there. No. Hate. Red. Red hate. So that kind of helps me with what I might write for number 4. Okay, pause the video and finish 1, 2, 3, and 4 if you haven't. Looking at the way it kind of works out, but I'm seeing both sides of the American dream, the bright side and the dark side. You see the flag behind me. What do you think? We'd have the bell ringer there. Is it a positive or a negative dream? Okay, the next poem is called The Tradition. It's from 2015 by Jericho Brown. I'm going to read the poem, but you do have questions on the next side, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, title, sound and rhythm, the shift, and then words that are italicized. So it says, what do you think these italicized words are? Jericho Brown, The Tradition. Aster, Nestortitium, Delphinium. We thought fingers in dirt meant it was our dirt. Learning, names and heat, and elements classical, philosophers said could change us. Stargazer, foxglove. Summer seemed to bloom against the will of the sun, which news reports claimed flamed hotter on this planet than when our dead fathers wiped sweat from their necks. Cosmos, baby's breath. Men like me and my brothers filmed what we planted for proof we existed before. Too late, sped the video to see blossoms, brought in seconds, colors you expect in poems, where the world ends, everything cut down. John Crawford, Eric Garner, Mike Brown. The title of the poem was The Tradition. Number 5. Is it the American tradition? I will tell you Jericho Brown is an American poet. So what kind of tradition could we interpret for number 5? We've got words in italics here. Number 6 asks about rhythm and rhyme. The only rhyming I noticed was at the end. Cut down Mike Brown. That rhymed. I didn't see much rhyming elsewhere. Okay, so for some of the questions, you might do some research. Number 8, got the stargazer, foxglove. Okay, if we Google these, what are we going to see? Okay, these might be kinds of flowers. Might be kinds of flowers here. Okay. And then John Crawford, Eric Garner, Mike Brown. You might look those up for number 9 and help you with number 10. So, as you look these up, see if that helps you with the end of the poem and what Jericho Brown might have been writing about. This is Mr. Spencer signing off. Send me a message if you need help with these. You got 10 questions to turn in. These are due by midnight on Friday.